Great. Thank you very much for showing up today. We appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to SMT for putting on this great event. Big shout out to the Wellness Committee and the Training Committee for all the work that they do. Last November, Casey and I had a chance to golf with a pretty amazing gentleman. When we were done golfing, we exchanged Instagram handles, and this gentleman's was at Run Across America. We said, Run Across America? He says, yeah, I ran across America, like Forrest Gump. Since then, we've been able to become good friends. He has an amazing story. He's come a long way, and he's going to share with you some pretty incredible events that have gone on throughout his life. This is a documentary video, just a short piece that they're putting together that basically detail his trip across this great nation. So just give this a peek and we'll introduce George in a moment.
My name is George Chmiel. I'm an extreme athlete, a patriot, and a civilian. It all started with a crazy idea to run across America, the land of the free because of the brave. A country that has become divided from inside out.
I'm sick and tired of the division in our country. Our veterans aren't getting the help they need.
Lost in the middle of this chaotic storm of hatred and identity politics are the men and women who serve to protect this great land, who have given their lives in defense of our freedoms. I felt someone needed to step up and step in, raise awareness, and hopefully unite one another. The run was brutal, overwhelming. There were times I didn't think I could go on. There were times I thought I had failed.
I think I might have walking pneumonia. I've got a cough for over a month now.
Then I thought about our veterans, our heroes, what they go through, what they've been through, what they've seen, what they've experienced. Failure was not an option. This run was never about myself or my team. It was about a much larger purpose, a much higher calling. I've been blessed to meet some of the most remarkable, inspiring, wonderful, and beautiful people imaginable. People who have changed my life forever, for the better. That run may have ended, but I assure you, the mission continues. As Chmiel said, it's our duty to serve those who serve us.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to George Chmiel.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for the kind words. If anyone's considering golfing with this guy anytime soon, he's got a hell of a game, and he's a humongous sandbagger, so make sure you get a few extra shots out of him. But no, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's always humbling when I get a chance to come share my story. You know, I think of the last 2.5 years since we finished the run, and I'm, constantly getting the Forrest Gump comparison, which, I don't think it's really accurate. I mean, let's break this down for a second. I ran across America once. He did it 4 times. I went through 14 pairs of shoe. I think all we have evidence is that he went through 1 pair of Nikes. He never ate, he never slept. He grew this amazing beard for 3 years. I couldn't go more than 2 days without shaving. It was so hot. So Forrest Gump trumps all in the running world. But where I think the comparison is really relevant, and for those of you who've seen it, at the end of the film, he's sitting there and he's contemplating the meaning of life to him. And he's questioning out loud. It says, is Lieutenant Dan right? And do we all have this preordained destiny and our lives are kind of set in stone from the day we're born? Or is Mama Goat right? And it's like life is like a box of chocolates, and we're all kind of floating around in the breeze. And finally, after thinking it through, he says, well, maybe it's both. And he says, maybe it's both. And that's where I think the comparison is really relevant. And that was what really hit home for me, because I think every day in our lives, today being no different, there's all these chance occurrences and random encounters and meetings out there, but it's on us to recognize them, right? It's on us to identify them and to take that first step. And I can tell you that first step is always the hardest. It's always the least rewarding, but it's the most meaningful. When people hear a little bit about my running career, most people assume that I took this first step back when I was younger. I had this amazing running career. I'm this great natural runner, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Maybe in my next life, maybe that'll happen. But I'm 5'6", I don't have long strides, and I have very average speed. And the only reason I took that first step was, I'm the guy that gets hurt playing flag football with his buddies over Thanksgiving break. So I was working at Merrill Lynch at the time, and I was working a lot, going out a lot, and then I have this bad injury, and I need to have surgery over that winter. And so I got the cast off, and physically I was getting in poor condition, and mentally I wasn't there. And I was like, okay, well, my legs work. Like, let's give this whole running thing a shot. Let's try it out. And if we have any runners in the audience, I mean, if you think back to those first few steps you took, I mean, it's brutal. I mean, I knew I hated it. I wasn't good at it, and if I didn't really have a goal in mind, like a big goal, that I wasn't going to stick with it. And so I decided to sign up for the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon a couple weeks out. I had some friends doing it, and I said, let's put this big goal on the calendar here. And not having trained, knowing nothing about nutrition, and as you can imagine, that was an absolutely horrible experience. I went out there, I hobbled through the race, I walked through it, I pulled my hamstring, and then the last 10 miles, I was so calorie deficient and weak. I was running past the medical tents, and these very nice volunteers were handing out this clear gooey substance, and so I'm like, oh, that's great, I'm eating it, and I finally finished the race, and I realized that I had been fueling on Vaseline for 2 hours. I mean, that's the benchmark where, this guy that ran across America started his running career, right? Beaten, broken, and full of Vaseline in the stomach. I know, it's pathetic. I highly discourage that activity. But I tell that story because that was a game-changing moment for me, because I had found the courage to take that first step, right? And through that, I really discovered two things. One, I think we're all capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. We put these boundaries and these limits on ourselves, and a lot of times they're self-imposed. And secondly, by taking that first step, I found a passion and inferno inside of me that I never knew existed, that completely altered my life. And so I say, going back to that forest thing, when there's opportunities and things, take that first step. And you might win, you might lose, but I think out of it, you're going to see some growth, and something really amazing is going to come from it. So after that first race, I decided, let's give this whole running thing a legitimate shot here. So I started training, and I started learning about nutrition and hydration, and started going through the process. And then everything really changed for me the day my goddaughter Lucy was born. So my goddaughter Lucy, she spent the first 6 months of her life in the hospital, and she was born with what's called panhypopituitism. Basically, her body doesn't produce growth hormone, thyroid hormone, or adrenal hormone, which controls everything. And I'll never forget the day I met her. Her father, Mike, is a good friend of mine, and I watched him injecting this really big needle into her tiny arm, and her struggling and almost fighting with her dad, and like, Daddy, why are you hurting me? And him being like, Lucy, like, you don't understand, you need this medicine to live. And watching that as a young guy from an outsider's perspective, I mean, it broke my heart. I felt helpless. I wanted to do something, but I was so inspired by the bravery of this little girl, right? I'm sitting about the things that I bitch about in life, like weather and traffic and work and all that stuff, and this poor girl was born with this condition, and she had nothing to do. She had no control over that. And so it really inspired me. So that was really the moment where things changed for me, and I knew my running had to be out more, right? It had to have a deeper purpose. And so after that, I signed up for a 5-day, 155-mile race through the Sahara Desert, which is a big jump. And let me walk that back a little bit, because I think it'll be relatable to everyone here, even though it seems so insane on the surface. The year before I did that race, I was following it, and there's a gentleman by the name of Dean Karnazes, the ultra marathon man, who was running it. And I was following his blog, and I was reading about his experience in the desert. And for me, being an average dude, it's really hard for me to relate to these elite runners. Like, we're just not on the same level. It's next level crap, right? But then I started following the blogs of the other runners, and I was like, wow, these are normal people, ex-athletes, mothers, fathers, business people, and they're going out there running these 150-mile races in the desert. They're finishing them, and they're having these life-changing experiences. Like, what is all that about? I was like, well, they can do it. Why can't I? And so that was the thing that really gave me the courage to kind of take that step there. And so I signed up for the race. We fly to Cairo. They bus us 8 hours in the middle of the desert, completely isolated from all civilization. And it's kind of humorous because you have 140 runners from 35 different countries, and they put 10 of you in a tent together that first night before you know anyone. And so you've got cultural barriers, you've got language barriers, everyone's trying to be on their best behavior. And then that first day you go run 26 miles in 120-degree heat in the sand with all your stuff on your backpack, and you get back to the tent and like all the rules are out the window, right? No one gives a shit about anything. We're popping each other's blisters, people are walking around naked, you're passing gas, because it's back to what you talked about earlier, the primitive, like it's all about survival. We're there, we had just run 25 miles, we had 125 miles to go. And all we had was what's in our backpack and each other to support us. And it gets back to that, so spot on that you hit on earlier. And then, you go to day 2, and now your body really starts breaking down. You're losing your legs. I mean, my feet swelled up 2 sizes. I bought bigger shoes because I knew they were going to swell. I didn't think they'd swell that much, so I had no room in my shoes. So I got butt blisters with all my toenails. I lost like 8 of them. And then, day 3 comes around, you get the nausea, and you start vomiting, you get dehydrated, and then day 4, you barely even remember, you're in such a delusional state. And then you get to day 5, and now you have to run 55 miles after just doing 100. I mean, it is so insane. But then there was a 72-year-old woman that finished that race. And she was the most inspirational. There's a few people, but she was so slow that for her to cover the mileage every day, she had to start at 7 a.m. and she didn't finish till 9 p.m. The faster runners would be done by 11 a.m. or noon, and they'd have all day to recover. She'd literally be out there for 14 hours, get back to campsite, everyone else is already asleep, heat up a meal, and then do it again, and then do it again, and do it again. There was a gentleman that was over 300 pounds there, and he was out there to inspire everyone in his network that he was going to change his life, and he was going to take a leadership role. He got it done. There was even a 55-year-old blind guy that my buddy was guiding him with the tether. And he took 300,000 steps through the Sahara Desert, 120-degree heat, and he finished that race, and he didn't see one of those steps. And just extraordinary examples of what the human body is capable of when you don't limit it. And so, when I take a step back, I was like, what is the common denominator there amongst all these people? And I told myself, all these people that finish these races. And it's an insanely deep sense of purpose. It's not the purpose that we talk about. Like, purpose gets thrown around these days, like find your purpose, what's your why? And that's great, it's so true, but it's a much more spiritual sense of purpose, and it's connecting with that purpose. And for me, I think purpose is what puts the pain in the proper perspective. I think purpose is what allows us to compete at a level way beyond our talent levels. Purpose is what can drive that innermost superpower. And that's what you have to do out there. You have to find a level inside of yourself that you don't know exists. And watching all these examples around me, and then knowing what Lucy's going through back home, if she pulls the ripcord, if she takes the option that's going to cost her life. And so that purpose got me across the finish line out there. And it just lit me up inside. And so when I got back home, I was like, because I thought that was going to be a one and done. Like, do the run for Lucy, that's it, like I'm done. And then it was like, oh, I want to keep doing this stuff, right? So the next couple of years, I run 100 miles on every continent. I just take my 4 weeks of vacation, and I was flying around and fundraising and just having these amazing experiences. But, in my professional life at Merrill, I was kind of, it's the right word, kind of getting apathetic. Like, I love my people, I love the electricity, but the work I was doing was so itchy, derivative sales, and I didn't feel like it really impacted the world, so I was just kind of getting bored. And so I decided to leave Merrill, I move out to California and get involved in a business where it brings a little bit more of my passions into the table. So we decided to start a company to compete against Top Golf. If any of you have ever been to the golf entertainment complexes where it's a $30 million project, and there's real estate, there's finance, and a lot of things that I loved about it. So we start this company, and immediately this thing went down in a set of flames almost overnight. The technology we invested in didn't work at scale. We couldn't raise the money. The team splintered, lawsuits being thrown around, and it led me down a death spiral. it was some of the darkest moments of my life. I mean, I lost one of my best friends out of it, and now at this point, I'm 3,000 miles away from home and all my friends and all my family and everything that I knew and loved, and started drinking heavily, and I just got to the point where I needed professional help. I mean, it was that bad. Like that experience I went through sent me down. What pulled me out of it after 2 to 3 months of really being there was flipping my mindset, because through those dark days, and I'm sure a lot of us have experienced them, and they're tough to talk about. I mean, it's tough to really be vulnerable and authentic about this stuff, but when you have those experiences of, why me, and you regret, you look back, oh, I should have done this and everything, like, you'll run yourself into the ground. And for me, I had to flip it around to more of an attitude of gratitude. And that was the big thing for me is, despite how screwed up this country is, it's still the best country in the world. You still have a roof over your head, still have food in the fridge, and still healthy. And like the things that we kind of take for granted, I know I did when I was younger. It's like those are blessings. And I think when you look around, I think the happiest people in life are the ones that really focus on what they have, not comparing themselves with others, or I wish I had that. It's that. And so I really started getting this feeling of gratitude, and everything that we were seeing in the veteran community at that time with the spike in suicides, and we lose more people to suicide now that are killing dad. It's absolutely horrific and all that stuff. So I decided I want to get back to my core. It's the first time in my life that I really have time to do what I want to do. So I decided to run across America for the vets. And looking back now, the hardest thing about this run was it wasn't the 93 days, it wasn't the 5 million steps, the 3,000 miles, some of the stories that I'll get into in a second here, the injuries, the heat. Is trying to get people to believe that I can do it. I mean, when you go out with a pie in the sky idea, I mean, it doesn't get more pie in the sky than, hey, I'm going to run across America. You get one or two responses. Everyone's either, you're an idiot, you're a moron, you're going to die, you'll never do it. You get those holders. And then you get the people that they don't even dignify it with a response, which is even worse. Right? You sit there and you tell them, and it just goes whoop, right over their head, and it's like, what's going on this weekend? So it's pretty disheartening, right? And you're sitting there, and then so you're going out and you're telling a story about what you want to do, and then something amazing happened. I was lucky. I call them my early angel investors, but you get those core believers on the bandwagon from day one, right? Those initial people are like, George, I love what you're doing. I support the mission. Like, I'm all in. I don't care what anyone else says. Like, let's do this. Because you couldn't do it by yourself. You never went across America by myself. It's a total team effort. And so you start building the team, and then all of a sudden the momentum starts picking up. And now all those people that thought you were crazy want to be a part of it, of course, right? They're last man in the deal party. Now that we have media, we have fundraising, we have great charity partners, they all want to be a part of it. So fast forward, morning of 9/11, USS Midway. We have the ship rented out to ourselves for 2 hours. We have this rousing kickoff. Jeff Kyle, brother of American Sniper, Chris Kyle, awesome dude, he's there. Jake Schick, who runs 22 Kill, they did 22 Push-Up Initiative, he's there. Al Kovac, Paralyzed Veterans of America, he's there. We had like 5 or 6 of the most foremost authorities in the veteran community there, all gave these speeches. I mean, it was like one of the greatest days of my life. I mean, I ran off that ship like on adrenaline all day. And then within 48 hours, I mean, everything came crashing down. I still can't put it into words. I mean, if this thing started 1,000 times, it would have went as poorly 1 in 1,000 as it did. Somewhere between the end of the first day up in Temecula and day 2, I get up and my knee is completely locked up. I just wake up. I've never had a knee injury in my life. Not once. I've had almost every other injury in the book. Never a knee injury. And it's so bad that I can't bend it the next day. Meanwhile, we had a schedule for this. The plan for the Run Across America was 60 days, 50 miles a day. Start on 9/11, finish on Veterans Day, 11/11, right? So aggressive pace to keep up. So like day 2, I'm like, oh my God, I'm almost borderline incapacitated. What am I going to do? So where do I go? I go, they call it the Frank and George, but you're kind of doing like this, for 17 hours to get my 50 miles in. And I did that for a couple of days in a row. And then next thing you know, I get a partial tear in the back of my right Achilles from overcompensating. And it was so painful, I could not put a shoe on. So now it's like, you're 100 miles in, 2,900 miles to go. I can't bend my knee. I got a sandal duct taped to my foot. And you're not even close to leaving California, let alone New York. I mean, it was so crazy, and you know, all those people that jumped on the bandwagon late, well, you know where they went. They were gone. Didn't look so good anymore. And everyone was telling me to quit. I mean, hundreds of people telling me to quit, right? You're not going to do it. Or get on the bike, right? Get on the bike and ride, you know, which is essentially quitting. And so I pushed through those next 2 weeks, and I really bottomed out the second Sunday. We had gotten in Arizona, but way behind schedule now at this point, like so far behind. And you can hear the whispers, you can hear the shouting, everyone's kind of losing hope. And that day I was like, I gotta go out and just kind of clear my head. I told my team, I was like, I don't want you to crew for me today. I'm just gonna go walk in the desert like, by myself. I gotta get out there. And so I walked and, you know, had that emotional moment where I cried, did the line the pity, and I just felt like I was walking with an anchor around my neck, like I was letting everyone down. Because, you know, like I said, it wasn't about me. This was about a bigger mission. And if it was for me, it would have been one thing, but like that higher purpose, I was just like, I had no answers. I had no answers. And so finally sitting there and I'm like, you know, this is one thing I do through a lot of my races and it helps me in life, but I imagine the moment in the future, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, where now you're healed, you're recovered, you're rested, right? And you have to live with the decision you made in the present moment. And can you live with that, right? You don't get a second chance to run across America. There's no way. USS Midway, Jeff Kyle, all these people, beast mode for the brave. You don't get a second chance at that. And I'm sitting there and I'm just saying, I pull this now. I don't know what this is going to do to me in the future, but there's no way I can quit. I don't care what the hell everyone says. And so you start thinking it through and it's like, well, what can you do? It's like the mind's a fun thing, right? The mind can be your best friend at times, totally be your worst enemy. And it was my worst enemy at that time. So I said, what can I control? The only thing I can control is the next step. You know, it's the next step, the step after that, 10 steps after that, the next quarter mile, the next mile, the next hour. And it hit me finally. I had to let go of the New York in the 60 days. And I just said, we just got to keep moving because every day out here, we're telling the story, we're raising money, we're meeting incredible people, and let's just keep going. And so that's what I did. And, you know, kind of the lesson from there is sort of, you know, I fall back, it's a matter of the mind. Like, I think the mind over matter thing is, you know, it's kind of BS. I mean, at least the way that I look at life, it's because, like, the mind gets in the way. The mind tells you you're not big enough, you're not fast enough, you're not strong enough, you're not tall enough, you can't get through this, you're going to quit. And it goes back to that core purpose. It doesn't matter enough to you that you're willing to suffer for anything. And that's what those runners were able to do to get across the finish line. And that's what I had to do there. And then miraculously, over the next month, I slowly started to heal a little bit each day, where I could walk faster, jog a little bit, kind of make some progress. And then it finally hit us that it was like, you know what, this isn't about getting to New York, it's about the journey. And you know, a lot of people talk about that, but I mean, the journey was so amazing, and I think we would have missed so much if we rushed there in 60 days. I think we would have just left a lot of chips on the table. And you know, you look at the stories that happened, and we got jumped at Border Patrol like 15 times minimum. Because I was running across the Mexican, like right next to the Mexican border in the middle of the night because it was so hot out there. And you imagine you see a dude running in front of a truck at 2 a.m. I mean, they're coming out guns blazing. And I mean, from the RV breaking down, and I mean, swimming across the Mississippi River into Memphis, because, you know, why run across the bridge when you swim across the river in December? Makes total sense. I think Coast Guard's definitely still got me on their ship list. And the people we met, I mean, every day you're out there running and people would see the truck and run across America and they'd look it up and they'd stop and they'd run for us, and, you know, the VAs and the VFWs and all the stuff that we got to do out there. It was really just an amazing experience. And, you know, I look back and it's like, none of that happens if you pull that ripcord mile 88. You know, none of that happens. And, you know, when our guys are out in Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria for us, they don't have the option, just like Lucy doesn't have the option. And, you know, I thought that through there, and it was just like there was no way I was voluntarily gonna take the easy way out. And so there's just so much inspiration around us, I think, on a daily basis. And, you know, that's what got us to the finish line. You know, teamwork, you know, that unbreakable spirit, and really, you know, that deeper sense of purpose. So, you know, as I kind of wrap this up, I mean, I want to open this up and really talk about some of this stuff. But, you know, when I think of running across America, while it's so extreme, you know, I think it's very analogous for the journey of life.
And we all have different challenges, we all have different races we're running, we all have different goals, we all have different ambitions, we all have different, things that we're dealing with. But it's still kind of the same, right? I mean, we're going to face those obstacles, and I think when you find those opportunities, I think taking that first step is so insanely important. With a deeper purpose, that deeper purpose will really fuel you beyond your limits. Finding the right team of people, keeping that core tight. I mean, there's so much negativity out there, particularly on social media these days, where it's like everyone's comparing one another, everyone's tearing each other down, and it's like, get rid of the negativity, right? The people that are there for you in the good times and the bad, those are the people you want to keep by your side. And when things get really dark and depressing, that attitude of gratitude, I mean, I think that can really flip that mindset upside down and then matter over mind, right? And enjoy the journey. I mean, I'm a true believer. I think the average lifespan, a person has 28,000 days to live, right? That's not a lot, 28,000 days to live, but it's like, how are we going to make it count and what are we going to do? That's what I take away from all that. So I'd love to open it up and everything and share some more of these stories, but thank you guys for having me here. Yeah. So I ran 93 days over 4 months. So we had a lot of back and forth stuff to do. We hosted 4 concerts along the way, and because I was behind schedule, we kind of tried to time it up where like I would be there while the concert was taking place. But I was so far behind schedule, a lot of those we had to drive. So I literally like touch a stop sign, get in the car, drive ahead, go to do a fundraiser, go to a concert, drive back, touch that sign, start going again. So the stopping and starting, we did that like 6 or 7 times because we were really committing ourselves to getting the message out. That made it really hard. But yeah, so it was like just over 4 months and then 93 days of running.
Did you hit the goal at Veterans Day, finishing?
No, we finished in January, so it was like 2 months behind. Yeah, it got so cold. I mean, I had lost so much weight. I mean, it was like I looked so bad, felt so bad, and like I just couldn't warm up. And we had like this really crappy RV that we were sleeping in every night. Like the heat didn't really work, so it was like you couldn't even get warm at night. And then you were outside in the hills of the mountains of like Nashville and Knoxville through Virginia. It was just like December into January. We had a couple of days where it was like 5 degrees, 8 degrees, wind chill colder. And you're out there, and you're just frozen to the bone. You just never warm up. And it's like in that video there, I said I had a cough for like the last month, and I don't know if it was like walking on the moon or not, but I was just frozen to the bone. Yeah.
How did you deal with like the knee and the Achilles and stuff like that? Still continue to.
I tried to do everything I could. I got a physio that came out that kind of worked on me. We would fly him out like every other weekend, and so he'd come work on me for like 3 or 4 days. And I kind of just hobbled. Like I just did all I could do, and so a lot of those days I was only doing like 20 or 25 miles, despite being out there like all day long. But at least we kept it moving, and then eventually it just started getting a little better, like slowly but surely. I mean, that's a lot of people. They always say like, how do you train for running across America? And my answer to that is like, the first 1,000 miles is training for the next 2,000. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. I think your body just like, you start getting up at 4 a.m. every day, right? The first week it sucks, and then all of a sudden it becomes part of your day to day. And that's kind of what it was. It was like, you can never train at that level for something like that because you'd injure yourself most likely. Like, I don't want to get injured during training. At least let's get injured out there when it matters. Yes? So I had a 4-man crew with me on the road. So my buddy Brian was kind of like the crew chief, and he would be driving the truck near me pretty much at all times, or driving ahead, but usually within like at least a half mile of me. And then we had Tucker, we called him the woodsman, who was kind of like the jack of all trades, like in charge of the RV if anything broke down. He'd be on top of it, and then we had a couple guys just shooting video and stuff. But yeah, it was tough living. We're in that RV, and I mean it was kind of rough. It's like a mobile college dormitory. Yes. Yes. That's actually a great question. So
My initial goal was to really eat lean and healthy. So we had a lot of prepared meals shipped out, company factor 75, and we had them shipping out like 150 meals a week for myself and the crew, and which it was great, but I could not get anywhere near enough calories being healthy. Like, the fact of the matter, like I wanted to keep it clean, but the amount of food I would have to consume, like if you're eating lean meats and veggies, like I have to take down like half a table, right? So then it transitioned to like, I just need raw, cheap calories as quickly as I can get them, whatever my body can digest. So then it became just a ton of like Papa John's and McDonald's. Yeah, I mean, straight up. I mean, a couple, Coors Lights at night, like ending the day because you're walking, you're in a ton of pain, calories. Like, I mean, it's truly when you're out there, it's whatever it takes. Like, and you try and build a manual around it. Like, we had a 100-page manual for how this run was supposed to go. And like I said, we threw that out with day 2. But.
Did eating out, like, Papa John's and all that stuff, did you ever feel like kind of fatigued or whatever? It's just like.
Yeah, I mean, I felt so much pressure during this thing because the type of person I am, I just didn't want to let people down. And I felt like because we were behind schedule, I was. And so that stress put so much pressure on me, and I really struggled to sleep. Like, even after going out and running 50 miles in a day, I'd be there up all night. Like, I really just, like, I was under so much pressure. I felt like I was supposed to have a heart attack every day. And so I think that really led to, like, extreme fatigue, but maybe that food did as well. Like, you're just trying to grind. Every day was so different, the challenges, the obstacles we faced, and like, you just gotta try and figure it out on the spot. And for me, I was just like, so depleted. I mean, I could go eat like 2 large pepperoni pizzas and like still feel hungry. It was crazy. Yeah.
How often do people run with you, and then what's the longest that someone ran?
Yeah, I mean, every day. When we started from the midway, there were probably about 100 of us that left the ship together, which was really cool. So we're running through downtown San Diego, and then, 3 miles in, 20 people drop off, and then you get up, you make the right on, what was the road we took out past Qualcomm? I forget the name of it, but then you roll drop, and by the time I was at Qualcomm, I was by myself. Yeah, so, yeah. Now, I mean, my friend Charlotte, I actually met her in the Sahara Desert during that race, and we've been friends ever since. And yeah, she did like 15 with me, which was nice of her. But then at that point, you're by yourself. But yeah, every day you would just be running, and something random, someone would honk, or someone would stop, or you would see the brake lights in the distance, and they would come back, and hey, can I run a couple miles with you? And then through all the bigger cities, we had kind of planned group runs, so as fundraisers. Which was really cool. So I mean, across the way, I probably ran with thousands of people, but just every day was a little different. Yeah.
What's your next goal?
I'm sorry.
What's your next goal?
My next goal. So, well, I mean, a couple, right? So my next race I'm doing is actually in 2 weeks. We were talking about this last night. I'm kind of excited about it. It's called Last Man Standing. So it's up in the backwoods of Maine. And it's a little different. So it's a 4.2 mile loop, and you have to do it every hour on the hour. So it starts at noon, run the 4.2 miles. So if you finish it in 40 minutes, you get 20 minutes of rest. You finish it in 50 minutes, you get 10 minutes of rest. And then at 1 o'clock, you gotta do it again. 2 o'clock, you gotta do it again. And you keep doing it until there's 1 minute left. So that's my next race. But really, next goal is. I tend to do a big fundraiser every couple of years. You can't always be going out fundraising where, it just comes across as fake and kind of greedy. And so, like, with the documentary coming out, and, we're going to go to Kilimanjaro next year and bring a couple double amputees up to the top, which is really going to be a special experience, and we're going to do a big fundraiser around that. So that's kind of my next sort of big thing. But, just keep being out there, keep being active. It's something I love to do. It's something I get to do on the side, and I'm blessed, and hopefully I can keep doing it for a long time. But I mean, it's awesome. I love these experiences. Like, I love just like I talked about, they're meeting normal people and having real talk. Because like these guys that go out there, and I run these 100-milers. I ran the Keys 100 back in May, and I did it in 23 hours, which I was really happy with, like sub 24. But like the winner beat me by like 8 hours. It's just next level stuff. right? But like you get to meet these amazing people, and they're all so driven and ambitious with purpose, and that's really what I love like surrounding myself with. Thank you. Jason.
Obviously got to know you a little bit over the last few months. We talked about, I guess, some of your struggles in business, moving on from Merrill Lynch, trying to do the golf thing. So, and these races are kind of a side project for you. So what is the day-to-day work that you're doing that's giving you purpose and getting into something you actually enjoy?
Yeah, so it was actually funny. So when I got back from the run, like I said, I lost so much weight and I was so beaten down. I mean, I didn't know if I'd ever want to run again or even ever want to work out again. Like it takes so much out of you. And it just so happened there was an F45 fitness studio that had just opened in La Jolla, close to where I lived while I was running. And after a month, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go in there and it's some high intensity interval training, it's group training, and it really reminded me back of playing sports in high school where it's a lot of people working out together in a high energy environment. And so I decided I wanted to open one of those up, and I've opened 3 of those up now. So, I mean, that's something that's really a passion project of mine. I love doing it, I love being in there working out with my members and stuff like that. So, that takes up a lot of my time. Those are tough projects, there's a lot of construction and stuff with them. But then I have some other business interests on the side where I spend time, and then I do some of these things, and I'm out running races, and so it keeps me pretty busy. You gotta come to the studio, man. Gotta get you down there. Yeah.
Some folks some nutritional tips, some stuff that you might suggest for us to get involved in working out.
Yeah, don't eat Papa John's and McDonald's. So in terms of, I mean, it's twofold. Like, I mean, during these events now, I have it pretty dialed in what I do. I mean, I pretty much keep all the sort of fats out of it, because when you really get into the fatty stuff while you're working at a high level, for me, I just have major GI issues. So I pretty much fuel off runners do, and I use Tailwind, which is kind of like your electrolyte replacement mix that I use during races. Outside of races, I keep it clean during the week, and I eat out on weekends, but like I eat prepared meals because I'm so busy and I travel a lot. So, I'm eating lean meats and veggies and fish and stuff like that. What I say about nutrition is everyone's got a magic pill, like everyone's got a supplement, everyone's got like this or that. I think it's all kind of bullshit. I mean, it helps on the periphery, like absolutely if you're, if you're lacking in some area and like, okay, I need to take more iron or I need more protein, I'm trying to bulk or things like that. By and large, it's just eating healthy, right? And eating clean and trying to eat consistently. I mean, I think that's great. Drinking at least, 100 ounces of water a day, I think is fantastic. As you drink a lot of water, it helps eliminate cravings that you might have, especially at night when like craving ice cream and stuff like that. Just pounding water. But I don't think there's anything really any secret to it. I just think it's being clean and consistent. You want that? Oh God, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean it is. I mean look, I mean we all have really challenges, and I worked hard to start my career at Carroll, and did great there, and then left that, and go down to the twos, and lose a ton of money and lose relationships even more importantly, and then have my friends and family back home and all my network, and so that's a constant challenge. I think people can continually struggle with that. It's it's something that I wouldn't say I'm like 100% over by any means. So it's always a constant struggle. But I just make a conscious effort to really be more reflective and more meditative these days. I think when I was younger, it was just like go, and like you never take a step back to like really like, okay, what is going on here, right? And having some deeper thought around it. And so, like I said, I just like to fill my plate up with things I'm passionate about, people that I care about, people that I can know and trust, and having big goals. Like I think having a big goal or two a year, is a positive thing, and whether you hit it or not, just forcing yourself to get uncomfortable and get outside the box is going to lead to self-growth. So that's how I like to do it. Yeah. I think that's a great question. I think in a lot of ways I've exceeded certain goals, in a lot of ways I've failed to hit certain goals, right? And by doing some of the things I've done, I mean, living a pretty aggressive lifestyle, I've definitely made sacrifices. I would have thought I would have had a family by now, had kids by now, which I haven't. And I mean, that's something where, at whatever point in time in my life it happens, it'll be great. But I mean, that's something where if you were like, okay, at 22, checking the box of when that should happen, like I would say that's probably something where like I haven't hit. But I mean, to do some of the runs I've done, have a great career at Merrill and a bunch of businesses, and it's humble to get the chance to come and do these events. I mean, I was like, at my age, I'd be like, well, I think those are some areas where maybe I've exceeded. And so I think there's a balancing act. I don't have all the answers, but I just like to be in the game and in the arena and try to figure it out along the way. I'm very much of like an experiential learner. Like I like to get in there and get my hands dirty and try to figure it out. But yeah, so I think it's a little bit of both. I don't know if that really answers it. Anyone training for their first race? Anyone? Come on. Yeah, fail. Good question.
So, I've heard, like, I've watched a lot of videos of you on Instagram and stuff, and you like this stuff. You mentioned matter over minds. Where did that grow from for you? I've never heard that concept, so it's a big part of your training. And how do you see it living out in other parts of your life outside of racing? I think it's just different areas for me, but you personally, what else do you see for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I think it really, like when I talked about your mind being your best friend and your worst enemy, and how your mind is, it's constantly playing tricks with you. I mean, I think that's really where it grew from. And every time that I've had that moment in my life where like, there's no way out, you can't get through this, whether it's in a race or talking about, the business failure or things of that nature, long relationship going down, whatever. Like, for me, it's always come back to like that purpose and that matter and connecting with that purpose. And so that's why for me, it's like mind over matter. And like, well, no, it comes back to does it matter enough? And if it matters enough, why does it matter enough? And then if it matters that much, why? Like that 3D why, like getting really to it. And it just kind of hit me one day. Actually, it kind of hit me. I was sitting in a steam room thinking about this shit, and that's when I kind of like started coming out with that. So I try and translate it as much as I can to different things in life, but can't always. Yeah. Tomorrow's her birthday. She turns 13. So yeah, that's really exciting. She's getting her first iPhone. Dangerous. She's not so she used to, when she was younger, crash a lot. And when she would crash, it would be like, she doesn't produce cortisol naturally. So like when we get sick or we have stress, we pump cortisol, we fight, right? When she would get sick or she would get stressed, her body would just crash. And by crashing, I would mean eyes roll back in her head, nausea, almost going limp, kind of like Gumby, and you have to rush her to the hospital. And that happened often. And as she's gotten older, that's happened less, but she's fallen behind in school a little bit, which is hard because, she's at the age where people call names and bullying and do stuff like that. And so she has to do some tutoring at home when she goes to school a little bit. So, I mean, it's a struggle. Like, she's had a good stretch over the summer, which has been really good, but it's something that doesn't go away. There's no cure. It's never like one day. It's just like all of a sudden she's going to be great. There's things that she can never do. She can't be active. I mean, she loves to ride horses and stuff, but she can't run. She can't play physical sports because that stress just exacerbates the condition. So it's really tough. Like I love the girl to death. I'm so inspired by her, and it just sucks when you see something like that. Just a small little girl who's she didn't do anything wrong, but she grinds and she inspires everyone around her, and she's amazing. So thank you for asking. Yes?
I hate to run, but I love...
That makes two of us.
But I love documentaries on marathons, ultra-marathons, like I've probably watched a dozen of them, and I'm very fascinated by it. And something I saw in a lot of them is that these guys, girls, who
type A, yeah.
Have you found?
100%.
Do you think you're that? Have you found other?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of the epitome of that, yes. And they are, and that's what I talked about, some of these other runners that were there, that they're lawyers, they're accountants, they're successful business people, they have families, you know, and they're doing this on the side of really insane like life schedules, and they're carving the time out. So absolutely, I mean, you gotta want to do it. You gotta want to do it for the right reasons. You know, you're not gonna grind through a 155-mile race or a 3,000-mile run across America. You know, if your intentions are pure, you don't really want to be there because you can't fake it out there, especially when you're doing a big event where there's thousands of eyeballs on you. Like, you can't fake it.
So when you're running, what are you thinking? Are you listening to music? Are you praying?
Yep.
What's keeping you going?
Everything, whatever it takes. It's a constant, never-ending cycle of, yeah, you know, I'll listen to a lot of music if I need to it. You know, I'll think about things from the past, things I want to do in the future. You know, that'll always get me fired up. You know, you'll go through these moments where, like, you know, you're running a marathon, you know, the first couple of miles you're warming up, and then like mile 4 through 10, like, you get in that zone, you're feeling good, and then you're kind of starting to feel invincible, and then it just kind of starts going like this, and then it just kind of turns into a sufferfest. And so you're constantly like trying to change that mindset to like just get through the next step, really. So, I mean, there's no one specific answer, it's kind of all of that. But yeah, I'm constantly like trying to stay mentally engaged. That's like the hard thing for me, because when you lose that mental engagement, then it gets very easy to, oh, what am I doing? You start walking, and then your body temperature plummets, and then all of a sudden it's like things start getting bad. So like you really gotta just, you know, stay fired up, keep that adrenaline pumping. Yeah. You guys are great with all that, right? This is fantastic. We're supposed to be getting the first cut later this week, actually, which is exciting. So it's you know, like everything, right? It's supposed to be done this time last year. So but, you know, hopefully in like 3 months or so. I should call it Across America. Really, really creative. Yeah. Oh God, I don't want to get into this topic. Man, it is part of my language. It's so fucked today. Honestly, who would want to put themselves through that?
Somebody who's running across the country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. No, thank you. No, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, people have mentioned that over the time, especially like during this run. I was really an aggressive advocate for getting out there and doing a lot of this stuff, but I don't know. I think we can just do so much more on this side. Like, I think I can accomplish more by what I'm doing and not being scrutinized and torn to pieces and family being attacked and things like that. It's just so wrong. I mean, that's why we're never going to. The presidential candidates we have, I mean, in my opinion, there's so many better people out there, but why would you want to put yourself through that? You know, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense, and that's what I think sucks for the future of this country, because like, you know, we're never going to have the best people in office. So, I don't know, not at this point. We'll see what happens. Yo. Dude, we can move closer, man. You're back there in like the peanut gallery.
So you briefly mentioned, I guess, some of the people you encountered on the run.
Yeah.
Some of their stories, and obviously you probably didn't know who you were going to encounter along the journey. What are, I guess, some of the more memorable people that you came across?
Yeah.
Stories.
Sure. I'll talk. The most memorable, and this is a sad story, so be prepared. But Chmiel Barnes. She was a mother we met in Carlsbad, New Mexico. She owned an RV park there. So when we came through, we met her, and she was like, oh, you can stay for free, park your RV here, because that's where we're going to hang out. And so we ended up chatting with her, and her son, Malachi, had just blown his head off 6 weeks prior. And we sat down and had a long conversation. And I mean, that was the first time and it was so fresh. I mean, it just happened. You know, I think he was 17, scooped up, went to the Army. I mean, you think back to 17, right? I think about me at 17, you're just trying to fit in, you're trying to be cool, maybe trying to make a sports team, you're looking at, you know, it's like you have no life skills yet. And this guy's 17, and he goes to Afghanistan, does a few deployments, saw some stuff, did some stuff that haunted him, and when he came back, his mom said, he was a different person. He was very isolated, he was very angry. She was scared, and like they didn't get the help that they needed, and she could almost see it coming. And then, you know, one night he took his life with a bullet in his head, and she was literally carrying around his shoe in her purse that was still covered in blood, just so she still had a piece of him. Like that. I mean, are you kidding me? She was crying, right? She still had she had a husband, daughter, she was running her business there, you know, and these suicides, I mean, you think about it, they don't just tear a family apart, they tear communities apart. I mean, the sports leagues, the rec leagues, the churches you belong to, I mean, you start thinking 20 a day. I mean, I never put two and two together, but when you run, especially the route I took across the southern border, through Arizona, New Mexico, West Texas, I mean, in these towns, I mean, they're 80%, 90% military. And, you know, while they care about faith and freedom and religion, nothing else really matters to them. When you have a suicide community that's that tight-knit, like, it rips the fabric apart. And then when you start seeing multiple ones, I mean, it's a major, major problem, man. That was, I mean, one, we got to meet Obama in the White House and had breakfast with him, which was kind of cool. So that's another one. It was actually kind of crazy. We met David Spade at a bar in Scottsdale. That was like 10 days in when I was like really kind of bottoming out, and I was finally like, we need to go have a fun time. And so we went out, had some beers that night. There's David Spade sitting there. We did tequila shots together, so that was cool. And we got to co-host a concert with Brett Michaels, so that was really cool. From some of the videos you saw there, Adaptive Training Foundation and the Dallas VA there with the spinal cord unit, going through there and watching those warriors like take their first steps, like in that exoskeleton thing that they had, and now they're like, you know, they're paralyzed, and now they're walking again, like just insane, right? There's amputees going in there, you know, lost their legs doing push-ups. Oh my God, it's just like the most inspirational stuff you've ever been in your life. And then just, you know, just that the normal people you would meet, where we roll into like a Walmart or something for supplies, and people are like, oh, what are you doing? You know, covered in crap and dust and everything, and you tell them, they're like, oh my God. And next thing you know, you're going out for pizza with someone, and you just, you know, just real talk, you know, real talk across America. So, I mean, there were so many, man. I mean, I could go on for hours, but be quiet. But Chmiel was the one that, you know, I couldn't run that day. I remember after that, we went outside, and we shot Facebook Live, and I was just crying. I'm just like, it just doesn't feel right to run today. And just like shut it down. And, you know, another one of the days I didn't run, it just didn't make sense. Yeah.
Do you recommend running for those who are suicidal? My brother committed suicide when he was 26.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before he did that, he talked about taking the money. Do you talk to people who are suicidal about it?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't force anyone to do anything, but I think there's so many positives that come from running, right? And just in terms of the endorphins and you talking, the getting along with yourself out there on the road, and then what it can do for you physically as well as mentally. So I mean, I encourage people to be active, like, and move. And whether that's running, whether that's doing HIIT training, whether that's doing yoga, I mean, I think, you know, it's important to work out every day. It's important to get like a certain amount of steps in, or whatever it is. So, I mean, if someone wants to do that, I'm happy to encourage them and help them train and kind of share some of the things that have worked for me. But I never like push running on anyone, you know, it's just kind of, but I do believe in a very healthy, active lifestyle, for sure.
What's the most beautiful part of the country, like state or an area or something?
Yeah, Arizona desert, hands down. Yeah, it was, and I spent a lot of time there. We were really slow through Arizona. No, there was an area called the Cactus Forest out by Florence. I mean, tens of thousands of cacti, and what beautiful Bermuda white sand, surrounded by mountains. And it was just like so breathtaking. And then we had a stretch through Arizona, I think it was out by Wilcox, where every day you have like the worst thunderstorm you've ever seen in your life. And you're surrounded by mountains. It's like a microclimate. It's almost like San Francisco. So like the first day going through there, like I just got to the edge of it, and then started coming down. We had to get the hell out of here. Like I had to get in the car. It was flash floods. Like we almost got the truck almost got swept out in the riverbed. And then the second day, I was in the middle of it, and lightning struck about 20 yards away from me and took out a telephone pole right next to it. And then the third day, now I almost got through it. It was like chasing me, and it was like trying to like outrun the storm. But I was like the visuals of like the mountains or the desert, and then these dark skies in Arizona was just amazing. That whole part of the country, going through California and Arizona, and then like New Mexico, but then like West Texas is kind of all the same. That's kind of all. And then, Arkansas was really beautiful. Like Arkansas is kind of underrated. Worst drivers in America, saying a lot. Worst drivers in America, and the most aggressive guard dogs you've ever seen. I mean, how many times that like I'd just be running down the road and a dog would come out like a massive pit bull or something, and like I gotta dive from the woods or whatever. Got run off the road. I can't tell you how many times like at night I was running, and there's even times you can see the person on the phone stop texting, right? You can see the light when they're coming after you, and they kind of veer off into the shoulder, and you're diving off the side of the road. It was dangerous. I mean, that's gonna yell in a shoe. I switched to the Hokas. That was actually a kind of a game-changing move for me. Like with the injuries, like switching to the Hokas because they have more cushion, like a bigger sole. And running through Arkansas, I stepped on a nail, and it went through diagonally, and it was like just poking the inside. If it would have went straight up, like, potentially, right? I don't think I'm gonna quit. I probably got crutches and try to figure out a way. But yeah. And then Tennessee is gorgeous. I love that state. And that was like by far away the most patriotic state. I mean, the truck with the flags, I mean, the amount of people that came out and just like fired up about it, that was really cool. And then when we got to the Northeast, it was like winter time. So it was really dark and gray and snowy and cold. So like, and that's where I'm from. There's some beautiful areas there, but it was just like so far up the road. I was like, we just gotta get there. But like Arizona was just amazing. So, long-winded answer. Yes.
You're doing the last man standing in the winter across America. Are you going, or have you ever decided to put on a run for a cause that you are passionate about?
Yeah, we've kicked around ideas. It's not always easy to do. You gotta be able to mobilize a lot of people and do it. I think at some point, 100%. I mean, what we're doing next summer, we're like going to Kilimanjaro. We're going to bring like 20 people, some amputee veterans, and really like help them live out their life while journey to like get to the top of Kilimanjaro and stuff. So I mean, that's more of an expedition and an actual race. But yeah, to like mobilize the public, I mean, for sure. I mean, I would go do something at some point in time. So a lot of play. Yeah. Yeah, 50-50. I don't know him personally.
Should have gone with him.
Yeah, that guy's just an absolute freak. So yeah, he did 50 Ironman, 50 states, 50 days. Just the logistics of that.
And he has 5 kids.
He's got 5 kids.
And a wife.
Yep.
That I praise her. You gotta.
Yeah, she's the same. I don't know her, but she's the same. Yeah, I mean, just the logistics of, because these weren't all sanctioned races, right? They were setting up courses to be able to do it like 50 days in a row. But yeah, dude's a super freak. Yeah, I mean, potentially we'll see.
Thanks, George.
All right, thank you guys.
George, what was that dam at the end of that video?
Yeah.